Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What's up guys, Dave here from Metal Epidemic, back with another review, and for this review Duncan Kyle and myself have been checking out the new release from Pittsburgh duo Zombi. Band's new EP Liquid Crystal will be released on May 14th via Relapse Records. So, Zombi return with a brand new EP, just less than a year since their 2020 album, 2020. Duncan and I reviewed that album here at Metal Epidemic.
I'm going to say Kyle wasn't even part of the flock back then. He has since joined us, and we are now a sexy menage a trois.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are indeed.
Once a week.
Yeah. Too much for each other to handle.
Yes, it is.
Literally got ice my dick for 3 days afterwards. Let's not do this on this review. This is a serious review.
We, as I said, we reviewed 2020 on our website. It's on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out. So this was a bit of a no-brainer that we check out their new EP to see where they've gone with this one. We both enjoyed 2020. Unsure how Kyle feels about this band, so that could be interesting. Duncan,
yes,
I'm going to come to you first.
Logical, yeah.
Zombi's new EP, Liquid Crystal. You were always a big fan of this band.
Yep.
And you dug 2020. What did you think of the EP?
Yep, so Zombi are a band that I've been a fan of for quite some time, specifically because of their influences and their roots in the kind of prog rock stylings of regularly used Argento collaborators, Goblin. They're kind of like a really modern day Goblin, if anything else. Their songs are specifically written. Zombie itself, the way they spell it, is, without getting too geeky, and I think I did this last time, is the Italian spelling for what was Dawn of the Dead. It's what they called it over there. They called it Zombie, Z-O-M-B-I. Spun tons of sequels, which were not sequels, because in Italy what you did was you just made another zombie movie and just pretended it was a sequel by naming it Zombie 2 and Zombie 3 and Zombie 4. None of them are related, right? But people went to the cinema thinking that. So, like, they already have my attention on that geeky level. Also, the music just suits me. It's kind of 70s, 80s, almost kind of soundtracky, horror soundtracky sort of stuff. Think John Carpenter, think Goblin. You're in that sort of realm, but it's got a kind of modern yet retro vibe going on, which works really well as well. They're instrumental, which I know puts some people off, but doesn't necessarily have much of any sort of impact on me, whether they've got a vocalist or not. To me, it just works. So I was keen to check this one out, mostly because, like you say, it's less than a year since we sat down and had a full album, and I was high on life on that full album. So when they teased they were doing an EP I want to say it was over a month ago, and I remember like pinging it round our chat going, oh, Zombi's got something else coming out. I was keen to see if this was, right, this is brand new material, or if this kind of felt like extras from 2020, where they've been like that, let's just release a EP. Because there's only two of them, I imagine songwriting comes pretty easy to them. I might be wrong about that, and they might want to correct us, but I always get that feeling that, it just feels like, they've got a bit of time, COVID and all, they probably knocked together a quick EP. And there ain't nothing quick about this one, because once again, this is an EP that clocks in over 30 minutes, right? So this is a couple of longer form songs in here, specifically the final two. And this might have the longest Zombie song I've heard on it. Track 4, Turning Points, is about 11 minutes 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So initial impressions, I thought this was great. It's different sounding than 2020. It has a kind of fresher tone to it, and interestingly enough, the actual album artwork, I think, like, occasionally artworks to me really suit the sound of a band, like sound of the album, and this one does. It's basically stingrays in the sky, which makes no sense because that's not where stingrays are. Ask Steve Irwin. Well, you can't anymore, but you get the point. That's a bad. Is it too? Come on, is it too soon for that? Surely not.
Too soon.
It's fucking 15 years ago or something. Good eye, little fella. Right, so, anyway, I'm going to hell for that, right? And
Not only that.
Yeah, just only that. Just that one thing. Yeah, the song, the album kind of has this kind of almost weirdly oceanic feel to it. It's really weird to describe. But it kicks off with Mangler. Mangler is not what you would expect. Mangler is a fucking great name for a death metal album.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or a noisecore song. You know, you get Big Barney up there going, this song is called Mangler. And then fucking kick it. But that's not what it's like at all. It's eerie. There's a lot, once again, space. Lots of space. It takes its time to build into what it's doing and then kind of essentially loops back onto it several times while playing with the motif. Love that. The second
quite ominous still though, isn't it?
Totally. That's what I love about their music. Is always there's an air of someone's about to kill you in a horror movie right in the background. And you never know quite what's going to happen, but it always happens in one of their songs where you're sitting listening to it and you're like, is there some cunt behind me? like you just start like, you get the feeling that you're being watched. You're like 2 steps away from hearing you know, it's like literally what you're like. The next song made me laugh a lot because I'm a juvenile, and it's called Chant, which made me think of an Englishman saying the word can't, which is like cunt. So I did giggle a bit of that. It goes off in a different direction, and a kind of welcome direction, I think. I so early into the EP, what I enjoyed is dynamically it changes quite a bit. Tempo-wise, it doesn't really move that much from Mangler, but you get some more instrumentation, a bit more work with the guitar on it, which I really enjoyed. Swings into Liquid Crystal being the title track, is brilliant. I love it. It's everything that, if you're a Zombie fan, this is a quintessential Zombie fan. Zombie fan song. Works really, really well, and it leads into Turning Points, and this is where I'm torn.
Okay.
Turning Points for me is a really interesting song at about 8 minutes in length. But it plays out and plays out and plays out and plays out, which I understand why they've done it just on an EP where you're trying to get stuff in. I just felt like it was a wasted opportunity. I feel personally that they could have shortened that in length and not lost anything from the EP overall, or shortened it in length and put another song on. It was still an interesting journey. I just felt it, like towards the end, it just felt very repetitive. But that leads into Black Forest, which is arguably the song in the fucking EP for me. I really like it. It's full of kind of 70s and 80s kind of B-movie kind of horror aesthetic. Kind of like 2 steps away from very comfortably being fitted on like the Suspiria soundtrack or something. And it's a beautiful crafted song. Really, really well done. Once again, I don't think there's anything on this EP where Zombie are reinventing the wheel or changing what they're doing. What they're doing is they're basically coming back and giving you 5 brand new songs of material, which I'm going to imagine once again was written post the 2020 album in a period where they couldn't tour. Yeah. And it pairs really well for those that are interested. Like, you know how you sit and you have your meal and you pair it with some wine. This pairs really well with the new Genghis Tron album. So double bill that motherfucker. It works really, really, really well. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily as good as 2020. Like I say, I felt track 4 was a bit long. But I'm a mark for music like this. It's got an authentic guitar tone that I really like. The synth work is vintage and cool. The drums sound nice and crisp. And it's soundtrack music. That's what you kind of have to try and get your head around. They are a band, but as a band, they're playing music which is designed to sound like a soundtrack, which means sometimes the songs do go a bit longer form. Turning Points for me is just a... Turning Point was a turning point, interestingly enough. I just felt like... I don't know what it is. I just felt like towards the end, the last 3 minutes of that track just almost felt a bit needless. But everything else on it I thought was great.
Nice. Kyle, we have no idea what you think about Zombie. So what did you... Have you heard Zombie before? And what did you think of Liquid Crystal?
I'd never heard of Zombie before. Never.
Interesting.
Ever. I was like, I know Duncan had said some stuff about them before, but I'd never checked them out. So I was like, oh, okay, let's check this out. I gotta say, I completely disagree.
Oh.
I think the last 3 minutes of Turning Points is amazing.
Oh, right. Interesting.
I really, 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 really love this. This was, I don't know. It's been on repeat since I got it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. It's exactly I mean, you know me, instrumental music is up my street.
Yes.
Yeah.
So far up my street, I'm choking on the end of it. It is. I don't know what it is. I just love when music has vocals in it, as most does. You always get like drawn to the vocal and everything else kind of falls to the side, unless you're listening to all the parts. You've listened to 100,000 times. But this, I just love how they can craft such ominous, dreadful feelings, like, you know, you're going to be stabbed in the back any minute now. Just through music, no lyrics, no words, no nothing, just through the sounds they make through the guitars and the synths and the drums, which are not sampled. And I just got drawn into it straight away from Mangler. The first opening synth bits of Mangler, I was like, yep, okay, this is for me. This is very John Carpenter, very 70s horror, very like everything that I grew up with listening to. And so, yeah, no, I love it. I think the whole thing's great. 11 minutes and 20 seconds of Turning Points didn't feel like 11 minutes. And like I said, it's been on repeat since I got it, and I'm falling in love with it. And you said 2020 was better.
Yep.
I'm now going to go back and go, okay, I'm checking you out.
Yeah, they're one of those weird. Well, I think we spoke about at the time. They're a weird oddity on Relapse Records. Like Relapse Records is mostly that's what I love about like Relapse, like specifically just now. Genghis Tron just put out an album which doesn't necessarily feel like it matches with that record label, but I love the balls of the record label to say fuck it, we're putting it out, and they've crafted this weird little contingent now of bands that sound very unique and very different and heavily synth driven that are off to the side. And I think like Zombi, like I've been a fan for years. I am over the moon that you dug this, because like if you'd sat there and said this is shit, this is everything I hate about music and all the rest, we would have had to throw down. I don't want to have to do that tonight because my legs are sore, Kyle. Right? Yeah. But the fact that I'm not going to
throw down. I will throw down over this album. Somebody else says it's crap because it's not in any way. It's really masterfully put together. The production is absolutely perfect for what it is. And the songs are long and drawn out, but they want that to be, and I love having it on. I could have this on for the rest of my life in the background and be perfectly happy with that.
You need to check out 2020, my friend.
I will, because this is really good. I love stuff. There's a band called Zerath, right? They have 3 albums, and they're very soundscapey, soundtrack stuff, and it's fucking incredible. One of my favorite bands, and this is like that, but the other end of the scale. It's way more chilled, it's way more ominous and dreadful, and I really love it. It's kind of stuff I make when I'm just sat with my synth and a keyboard, and I'm just like, this is exactly what I do. I just put on a drone, change the notes a few times, and they're doing it way better than I do. Let me put it that way. But it's awesome, and I really love it. So
nice. Davey boy, bring it home.
Yeah, I went back and listened to 2020 just before checking this out, just to kind of refresh my memory on it and try to get a feeling of what they were trying to achieve with Liquid Crystals. And as you say, this is very much a Zombie release. There are differences, but no massive surprises. It still possesses all the kind of core Zombie sounds and elements. It still has that like combination of physical instrumentation with your bass and drums and guitars, but it's all interlaced with the retro synth sounds and that kind of soundtrack-esque kind of background to it. But even though I say retro sounds, they have very much like 2020 managed to keep it sounding current. You know, the production has that great balance of like analog meets digital, which works fantastically well once again. I think one of the most impressive things we had to say about 2020 was the way that Zombie structured their songs on that album. They still kept that sense of a soundtrack, but the structure of the tracks on the album felt more like actual songs, more than they ever did before. On Liquid Crystal, the structures definitely felt different to 2020. Firstly, there's less of a kind of presence of the heavier kind of rock and prog elements. This EP is generally slightly more subdued and less progressive overall. The other thing that's different is on this is the way the tracks begin, and you can hear that from the get-go with the kind of ominous synths on Mangler. The tracks are all about the kind of building of sounds and building momentum. They slowly kind of ooze in and then gradually kind of swell as the track grows musically and atmospherically. On 2020, that wasn't the case on most of the tracks. They pretty much hit the ground running within the first few seconds. So I like the fact they've mixed things up on this. This isn't just like a shortened version of 2020. They've went for something different, kind of dynamically and tonally. Again, musicianship on this is very well executed. Some of the bass playing on Chant was just fantastic. And they know exactly how to develop and wind down a track. Like, their experience as musicians and songwriters on this comes across in spades. I love the synth sounds they used on the title track, really lush sounding, creating these like huge soundscapes and leads, but it's got a kind of solid groove behind it as well. And even though this release is a little more like kind of controlled technically, I still enjoyed the approach to this. I really liked the more melodic kind of building layered method they went for in this. It does feel balance wise more like different parts of a movie score than 2020 did overall, but that's their wheelhouse. I mean, as we said on the last review, they work on movie soundtracks for a living, so it makes sense. And they're great at it, so why wouldn't you lean into that? Black Forest is a great closing track, very 80s in the kind of synth sounds and the guitar work. It's got a lot of groove to it, just kind of sits in the pocket, which is really cool. It's probably the track that sounds most like a band, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because it's probably the most kind of guitar heavy out of the 5 tracks. I found this a really easy listen, and it's a good EP to have on when you're just kind of working, or even just want to kind of shut your eyes and chill to it, you know what I mean? And I think it's actually a pretty good companion piece to their last album, which was 2020 was kind of my introduction to the band. I think the tracks on Liquid Crystal would work very well in a live setting in amongst the tracks from 2020, if that makes sense. They don't quite feel as urgent as the stuff on 2020, so I think they'd make really nice like interlacing live tracks. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it once again. It's 30 minutes, you know what I mean? It's a really easy listen for me, and I love what they've done with this one. It's different from 2020, but I like that. I think that was a clever move. Ratings for Liquid Crystal. Duncan, what are you thinking?
I am coming in with 4 on this one. Yeah, maybe just a little bit less than what I gave 2020 overall. Yeah, I mean, it's like as a long-term Zombie fan, this is exactly what I want. Like, see, like I said to you before, whenever I see anything from that band go up, I get excited. And I will check it out as soon as it appears, or get you to find me the album and send it over for me to check out as soon as it appears. Because they have never released anything that I do not think is great, and this is no exception to that. 4 out of 5.
Okay, and Kyle?
Yeah, I'll join Duncan on that one. 4 out of 5 is fantastic stuff.
Nice. I've been swithering with the score on this one. I enjoyed it.
Join us.
It's very much like a particular mood type release. I think I preferred the 2020 material more. That's just a personal preference. I think those tracks are a bit more kind of meat on their bones, a bit more to dissect, whereas this felt a little bit more minimalist in places. My initial instinct on listening to this was a 4 out of 5, which is what I scored 2020. But then I listened to 2020 again when I was reviewing this, and I think I'm still drawn more to 2020. Yeah. But it may be just because there's more of it, and I prefer full lengths to EPs. I think they might be as good as each other, but for completely different reasons. Yeah, I'm going to go 4. I'm going to stick with my 4.
Dave.
That was my instinct. Yeah.
Reunited and appear so good. Love it.
So Zombi's new EP Liquid Crystal comes out on May 14th on Relapse Records. If you want to check them out, facebook.com/zombie band. That's zombie with an I, no E. And I'll put a link in the description below to their Facebook and their Bandcamp and any pre-orders for the album, EP even. So that is the review. Thanks once again for checking it out. Much appreciated. We'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, take care. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.